and welcome to Getting It Done, a podcast about music, education, and life lessons. I'm your host, Tim Rausenberger, and today is Thursday, June 20th, 2019. This is episode 289, Preparation for a Career in Music and the Arts. Well, hello, and welcome to everyone. No, I am not getting married. Is that what you were thinking when you were hearing that music? Is that what went through your mind? Perhaps that the wedding bells are ringing. No, that's not what's going on here. But hopefully that came to mind, and we're going to actually discuss that tune in just a moment. Welcome to Getting It Done. Thank you for joining me tonight on this yet another rainy evening here in New Jersey. It seems to rain all the time. It seems to be raining everywhere, all over the country. My family members are all complaining about it, so I am very hopeful that we'll be able to get through tonight's episode without any issues and any connectivity problems. At any rate, we're going to get into the episode in just a moment. I want to give some shout outs to everyone in the chat. We're going to talk a little bit about our promotional contest and then get right into a topic I'm extremely passionate about. So first off, I want to say hello to some of the regulars we have here. A big hello to Ilianis. I am so grateful that she's here tonight. I do know that she had all of her wisdom teeth taken out. It does not take away from the amazing wisdom she possesses, but she was laid up for quite a while there, and I'm thrilled to see that she's the first one who made it in here and was able to join us. Jazzy Games, great to see you back once again as always. Michelle, thank you for being here. I appreciate it very, very much. It's great stuff to see Michelle back again. Esther, the regular Esther, is back again. So great to see so many of you here for the podcast. Alice will be joining us very soon. She's a little tied up with a few things here, and I knew that in advance, but I decided I want to get the episode going. We've unfortunately been a little bit behind schedule in recent weeks, and I want to keep things on time because I respect your time. And so, Lee Rod, great to see you. Awesome. Glad that you're able to join us here tonight. Okay, first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about our promotional contest and get some clarity as to what's going on with the promotion. So, I released episode 286, and that was released, initially it was released last week. And when I put out episode 286, it discussed a contest I was going to be running, in which I was going to be giving away 2 all-day passes to Six Flags, as well as a whole slew of Amazon gift cards. And unfortunately, and it is what it is, but I'm glad that I caught it in advance. But when I looked at the passes, unfortunately, the passes that I received from an amazing, incredible angel were only going to be valid for the New Jersey Six Flags location. And that was going to be a problem in case any of my listeners who span the country, span the United States, if they were to win, I wouldn't want them to have to just fly out to New Jersey just to go to Six Flags, even though some of you may feel that going on all those crazy roller coasters, not exactly my thing, but if that's your thing, it may or may not have been something that was worth it to you. So with that said, what I did was I contacted the people at Six Flags. We're in the process of getting they're working with me very, very well. We're going to kind of get the passes reissued per se, and they're going to be able to help me out in getting passes that'll be valid for any Six Flags across the United States, and it will be an all-day pass. We will run that promotion. It will be in July. It will be soon. I don't know how soon. It all depends on my own schedule and all different types of other things related to the podcast. So that's the story, and that's what happens. So I did promise you that we were going to have a contest, and there were many people, faithful listeners, who decided to do all these different types of things related to it. So I redid everything and produced a brand new episode 286. I deleted the old 286. The new 286 is up. If you did not get that episode, if you have not had a chance to click on the link, this again is the link to episode 286. These are the contest rules and regulations. You're not going to get much more self-explanatory than what I've done there. I've gone, as my students like to say, extra. If you go through the video, it's a lengthy video, but it explains things extremely well. So there's no confusion at all with the contest. Nobody's going to be contacting me saying, well, I don't understand this rule or this rule. Everything is there. It's spelled out. And I even go one step further. Whereas I'm speaking in the podcast, I was able to figure out through the magic of editing how to get words up here and all those different types of things. You'll even notice that my episode 288, which was released earlier this evening, which was feeling pretty good, great episode, and definitely, it was ironic because I wanted to do 288 all along, and I knew 288 has to do with a poem by Charles Osgood called Pretty Good. And I'd wanted to do that all along. And it was funny because as I reread the poem, I said, my goodness, this is directly related to so many things in our world, so much in the world of education, and not even just, I'm not saying anything against the field of education as a teacher, but I am saying that there are a lot of people, I think, who will graduate from high school, and I think they have a false premise of what life is really all about. And there are certain types of skills that they don't gain throughout the course of their educational career and outside of the school as well, in whatever setting they're in, whatever their environment is outside of school. So with all of that said, I'm going to just quickly talk about the promotion very quick, and then we will get into the episode 289. So the promotion, which is going to be running until next Wednesday, June 26th, 2019, will expire at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have to hold firm to that with that. The one huge change that I made, and I have it all over episode 286. We on top of the Six Flags ticket issue, which I'm just glad I caught it, and it's embarrassing to have that happen, but I am the type of person that owns things, and I admit when those types of errors are made. And the other thing that happened, unfortunately, was I had an email address that I had dedicated to the podcast, the Getting It Done podcast, and unfortunately, the email address that I had obtained through Google was rejected. I don't know what happened exactly, but I had an email in place. I sent the email out to everyone. Then all of a sudden, some of my amazing listeners said to me, hey, guess what? My email got rejected. It came back to me, which is, to me, a minor miracle, because a lot of email addresses, you won't always get the that bounce back type of thing. That doesn't happen as often now, but it did, and I'm so grateful that they told me that, because we would have had a real problem on our hands. Come to find out that it was deactivated, and I don't know why, and I didn't want to go through all the hassle. So what I did was I just came up with a brand new email. I'm going to type it in here. No, it does not need to be in caps, but I'm going to type it in capital letters. Whenever you're typing an email, the email, it doesn't matter whether you type it in capital letters, lowercase. It's not what they call case sensitive, so it doesn't really matter if you put capital letters or not. Sometimes I'll have students say to me, oh, your last name, or when you email me at the school, do you have to put in a capital R for Rausenberger? And the answer is no. So it's not case sensitive in terms of letters. So this is the new email address, gettingitdonepodcast@gmail.com. gettingitdonepodcast@gmail.com. That is absolutely 100% officially ours. There are other types of getting it done. There are some books out there. There are other email addresses that are comparable. There's even a website that's out there. Me personally, I'm just going to say it. I really don't care, but I don't know of anybody who gets it done more than I do in terms of this type of podcast format. And for that, I said, you know what? The Getting It Done podcast actually makes a lot more sense for me. So, because I believe this platform for you every single week. And I'm so grateful that you joined me once again tonight. So the contest itself is going to be running until next week, till next Wednesday, June 26th. Friday, June 28th. Friday, June 28th. 2019, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be live at a Spanish restaurant. I am still, unfortunately, finalizing all the plans for that. That was something I was hoping to happen tonight. The restaurant that we were hoping to do that, it kind of fell through, and it's okay. It's all good. But you have to understand that when we are contacting my production team and I, when we contact these places, there are certain things that have to be in place, and there are certain things that we have to agree to. And you need to understand that I don't want anybody's pity, but I do all of this for my listeners for free. And it's free content. And when I'm going to be working or I give plugs to different types of organizations, that's free. It's a free commercial, free advertising that I'm providing. And so you have to understand that if I'm going to do this for a restaurant, if I'm going to do this for a business, then they have to reciprocate. They need to give something back. So that was something that was extremely important to me. So I wanted to just start off the podcast by getting all that stuff out of the way. The new contest is super, super, super exciting. Again, the third prize for the contest. Okay, third prize. We'll just type this into the chat. Again, third prize is going to be the $25 Amazon gift card plus a $10 Walmart gift card. Okay, that's the third prize. Second prize is going to be a $50 Amazon gift card and a $15 Walmart gift card. And the grand prize going to be very big. We are going to have a $100 Amazon gift card, a $25 Walmart gift card. This is very, very big. Hello, Watermelon Duck. And Watermelon Duck, who unfortunately we have crossed paths so many times. We've gone back and forth, and we have not been able to connect because there was a gift card that Watermelon Duck had earned that she won, and unfortunately she hadn't received it from me yet. We've kind of gone back and forth. So Watermelon Duck, if you could do me a favor and just send me a message tonight, hopefully we can maybe even connect tomorrow and I can get that gift card to you. I'd really like to take care of it. I appreciate you being here. So at any rate, this is, of course, is our very, very big contest. I'm not going to go into all the rules and regulations, and I'm not going to do that because you tuned in tonight to find out about preparing for a career in music and the arts. You didn't tune in to listen to the rules of the contest. That's what's in episode 286. Okay, so go to episode 286. Everything is there. If you don't want to listen to the entire video, just scroll down in the description. Every single rule and regulation is there. If you watch the video, it's going to make even more sense. Remember, the promotion is not random. This is something that needs to be earned. Hopefully, you've already gone through the videos. You have provided tons and tons of comments. You've hit the like button on all the different videos in the podcast, and you're doing what you need to do to hopefully win this contest. I am letting you know right now that, of course, you need to have points. We do have one person right now who has over 1,000 points and counting. What my team and I will do is we're going to add up all the points on well, I guess next Wednesday and actually Thursday. We're going to add up all the points, which is one of the reasons why we're going to delay next week's live podcast until Friday. The other reason why I'm not doing the live podcast on Thursday is because on Thursday, that is a very, very big graduation day. There are lots of different ceremonies going on in my particular school district, and I had a lot of students who specifically requested that I be there. And the bottom line is teacher first, music second. That's always been my motto. And when my students ask me to do things like that for them, I'm always so grateful for all the things that they do for us as educators, and want to be able to be there for that wonderful moment in their lives. So we will be doing the live podcast again next Friday evening. The second I have the details, I will certainly let you know, and where the restaurant is going to be. Site to be determined. So again, that's next Friday night, 7 p.m. We'll be announcing live on the air, the 3 winners of these huge prizes. And at this point, we need to move on the episode because we're already 16 minutes in and we haven't even talked about our podcast topic tonight. And I'm not going to say it's not good because we have things that we need to take care of. And if you know other TV shows and podcasts, there is often different type of advertising, and this is extremely important. Hopefully at this point you've already hit the like button. Hopefully you have again left your comments and hit the like buttons on the other videos. And I know that you can't leave any comments on this video until I close out the stream. But remember, once the stream is closed and it's up there, do make sure to go back to this video as well and provide a comment. When you're doing your comments, the one thing that I do ask, especially for all these amazing faithful listeners out there, again, as I've said before, please don't just put in there cool video. The more you put in there, the more it's going to actually attract people to the podcast. When they see things like, I learned so much from X, Y, and Z, or Mr. Rausenberger gives tremendous advice on this particular topic, or whatever, or maybe mentions something specifically from the video. It doesn't take long to do that. You don't even need to listen to the entire video. You can listen to it for 30 seconds or so and be able to grab some type of important nugget from there and then mention it in the comments. It doesn't take long to do. I appreciate it a great deal. So I thank you in advance. Okay, let's get to our topic for tonight, which is career, preparation for a career in music and the arts. So the question that I had, and I asked it at the beginning, I'm going to give you a moment here while I grab my beverage. The beverage tonight, by the way, because I've had a lot of people that have been asking me, they say, what is it that you drink every single day? And again, it looks kind of gross, but what I have in here is green powder. It's basically superfoods, so it's vegetables. And no, it does not taste like vegetables. It actually tastes like berry because it's kind of berry flavored. I also have beet powder inside of here, and some stevia. So, and yes, Esther knows it. She knows that I have some stevia in here. Hardly any calories whatsoever, massive amounts of energy, and I drink this every single day. And wow, do I feel very, very energized. So while I'm going to get a quick drink from here, my question that I asked to everyone out there, I don't want you to say if you are or you are not looking to pursue a career in music or the arts. I don't want you to answer that question. There's a reason why, and I'm going to get into that in a second. I don't want you to say I am or I'm not, or I'm thinking about it. What I do want you to say is, why would any person want to pursue a career in music or the arts? So take a moment. Hopefully, it shouldn't take you very long, because if you're here tonight, you probably have an idea of what other people may be thinking, or if you are someone who's planning on pursuing a career, explain why they would do it. Okay, so Watermelon Duck kicks things off to do something you love. Okay, I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm just going to watch the chat and kind of take it in and see what your comments are and what your thoughts are, and then we'll go from there. While I'm waiting for people to just type a few things in the chat here, I'm just going to get a few things up here that I had jotted down. So why would a person pursue a career in music or the arts? What are the reasons? Okay, so Esther, music can really move people with depression, anger issues, anxiety. Actors can really represent a new world of opportunities and life lessons. I mean, that's as good as an answer as you're ever going to get. I mean, that's just it's just a tremendous answer. Very, very deep, covers a lot of things, and I really appreciate Esther taking the time there to type all of that out. Let's see what else any of you come up with here. Got a bunch of you still out there, still kind of waiting to find out what you think, because Esther has certainly hit a lot. I like that Watermelon Duck actually was very brief and right to the point. Esther's very expansive. Both of them are really tremendous points, but just getting right to the point, to do something you love. Notice how Watermelon Duck was not discussing music necessarily per se, but Watermelon Duck was just talking about, I think, just about any field. Whereas Esther was focusing specifically on music, was also talking about the arts. So in terms of actors and actresses, people related to theater or any types of expression in dance. Lee Rod, passion for the arts, okay, or just passion for the arts in general. You just have it in your heart. It's just there. Okay, sharing the love of the art with other people. It's really big. Okay, let's see what we have here. Miguel, music can motivate life and express feelings towards something or someone. It can also relieve stress. How true. How true. Michelle, people with a passion for music and the arts, it's a good way to keep mind off stress. There we are again. Okay, so notice how we're coming back to the stress and the anxiety. And as I have said before, we are certainly going to have that episode, but you know that that's a very touchy subject for me. I want to make sure that when we do have that episode, we're going to be talking about stress and anxiety and depression, that I have the right people here. I'm not going to do that episode alone. I'm going to have certainly somebody with me who will be able to discuss. Okay, let's keep on taking a look here. It's something they love. It's a way to let yourself be free. And the other thing is also that Lee Rod mentions having the talent. Okay, so we're off to a really good start. So before I go through the preparation that's involved for music and the arts, I'm going to read a little bit of the poem that's in episode 288. Okay, make sure that you check out episode 288. It's also not a long episode, which is nice. I know some people don't have the time to be watching, listening to a long episode. Episode 288 is less than 7 minutes long. It goes by quickly, and it's extremely powerful. But I'm going to read, in episode 288, I recite a pretty lengthy poem, and it's a very powerful poem. The name of the poem is called Pretty Good. And I'm going to just take an excerpt from that poem and read it to you. Okay. The pretty good student, in fact, was part of a pretty good mob. Now, in this case, by the way, they're talking about mob. They're not talking about like a bad group of people. Just talking about a group of people. And the word mob had to be used. I would want to get this out of the way so you don't think I'm talking about gangs and things. But the reason why mob was used is because the poet Charles Osgood needed to rhyme that word. So let's go back again. The pretty good student, in fact, was part of a pretty good mob. And the first time he knew what he lacked was when he looked for a pretty good job. It was then when he sought a position, he discovered that life could be tough. And he soon had a sneaking suspicion pretty good might not be good enough. I want you to think about that because it directly relates to what I'm going to be talking about tonight. There are a lot of episodes where you've tuned in with me, and I've had people who will say to me, you don't smile enough. There's a smile. Okay. And no, it has nothing to do with the gap and all that other stuff and everything. But there are times in which when I get very, very passionate, I don't smile a lot, and I'm not doing it to be because I'm in a bad mood or anything like that. But there are certain things that I am very, very serious about, and I am very, very passionate about. When I listen to music, when I'm engaged in musical activities of any kind, rarely are you going to see me smiling. Rarely are you going to see me laughing. It's just rare. And if it happens, something really powerful occurred. Perfect example. Monday night, I'm playing with 10 Till 2, cover band. And there was just this one spot during the gig. I don't know why. I just looked over and boy, Julio, our bass player, he's just so good. He's just so solid, and I really appreciate his playing. And I just looked over and I'm like, Jesus, this is just so easy for him, and he sounds so amazing. And it just made me smile. I just sat back because I didn't have to play at that particular point. I was just able to look and I'm like, yeah, that's what it's all about. He just gets it. He understands and truly loves what he does. Now, what's interesting about Julio is he doesn't have music as a career. He plays it for fun, but you'd never know it by his playing, because even though he's playing for fun, he plays well, really, really well. If you tuned in for tonight's episode to get a warm and fuzzy representation of preparation for music and the arts, you came to the wrong place. I have very, very, very little tolerance for people who enter the music field and enter the field of arts who are not passionate and are not serious about what they do. Now, I'm not talking about the type of serious, like serious game face. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about at all. So please don't get me wrong with this. When I'm talking about serious, I'm talking about that you are putting your everything into what you're doing. And that really goes back to what Watermelon Duck said above, to do something you love. If you're going to do anything in life, whatever it is that you're going to do, you need to put your everything into it. And that's the biggest problem with people in the world. It's the biggest problem with society. There is a motivational speaker I'm listening to right now. I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and there's one in particular, and he's tough as nails, and he's really crass, and he swears a lot, and he doles out a ton of tough love. And his name is Dan Pena. And I'll tell you something right now. He's not for the faint of heart. He is not the person that you want to listen to if you want to hear things that are warm and fuzzy. He just doles out the truth. And the truth can sometimes hurt. Now, when it comes to preparing for a career in music and the arts, I get very, very scared when people will give me answers that are not the right reasons to be going into it. Because here's the thing, and Esther, you're so right. Esther, you nailed it, because when it hurts, you grow from it. You're so right. And I wish more people understood that, because when it does hurt and when life is tough, and you will bounce back. You'll always bounce back. You will. You got to dig deep down, but you're going to grow from it, and you'll be able to rise back up. And like Watermelon Duck said right away, you learn from the experience of pain. You have to. That's life. That's just the way that it is. But here's the thing. When it comes to pursuing any type of passion, you have to want it so badly. When it comes to music, when it comes to the arts, you don't have any excuse. I could have had every excuse in the book for why I did not know the name of the first tune, or the opening tune, I should say, that was played on this Bluetooth speaker. I could have every excuse in the book. When I'm in school from 1991 to 1995, you know, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, do you realize that when I went to college, do you know how many times I used a computer when I was in college? 0. You know why? There was no internet. There was no internet. The internet was there, but it really wasn't there. The internet didn't become what it became until a few years after I graduated, and then it exploded in the late 90s. But when I was in school, I didn't use a computer at all. I remember taking a computer class, and the computer class had nothing to do with going online. There was no Google. Didn't exist. So I want you just to think about that for a minute. And those of you who are students of mine, and those of you who know me, think about all the things that I know, and understand and realize that a majority of that material was pre-internet. It was before the internet came around. Do you know what that opening piece was? Can you type it in the chat right now? Because I'm going to tell you something right now. There's a reason I chose that piece. There's a method to the Rausenberger madness. I chose that specific piece because I wanted to see if you as a musician know the piece. I want to see if you as a dancer know the piece. I want to see if you as an actor or an actress or someone looking to pursue theater, if you know the piece. I want to know if you as an artist, someone who wants to paint, someone who wants to create for a living, are you able to identify what that piece was? Or was it just, oh, I think I've heard that at a wedding before, or, oh, I think that's wedding music. Well, it is, by the way. But what's it from? And who wrote it? Anybody know? Give me another few seconds here while I get a little more of my beet powder juice. Now, here's the thing. If you didn't know, by the way, Esther, great job by hearing the trumpet, because that's great. That's great that you're able to identify that. And there are a lot of people out there who can't. They have no idea what the instruments even are. And that's something else we're going to talk about in tonight's podcast. But the piece of music that you just heard was written by a very, very, very famous composer. And the name of the composer is Felix Mendelssohn. Now, Felix Mendelssohn, well, I'm really pushing it tonight. I'm 99% sure I got these dates right. I believe lived from 1809 to 1847. I'm actually going to Google that right now. Usually in this situation, I would do that, but I'm going to trust my judgment on that one. Just check real quick. Yep. Yep. 1809 to 1847. No Google, my friends. Didn't Google it. Knew it off the top of my head. One thing I knew right away, the first thing that came to my mind was that he didn't live a long life. Who's another composer that didn't live a long life? If you're going to be going into the field of music, you need to know the answer to that immediately. What's the significance of Felix Mendelssohn? Felix Mendelssohn is known to be the second musical prodigy. The second one. What's a prodigy? Have to know what a prodigy is. It's a child genius. Who was the first child genius? Mozart. 1756 to 1791. What do they have in common? Mozart died when he was 35. Mendelssohn, I lived to be either 37 or 38, depending on when he died in 1847. So they both lived short lives. I know that off the top of my head. I don't need Google to look at that. When did I learn it? I learned it when I was in college. When could I have learned it? When I was in high school. Did I have the internet available to me? No. Now, what's the name of the piece? Name of the piece, interesting. No, that's the name of the piece. Midsummer Night's Dream. All right, my friends. What's a Midsummer Night's Dream? Who wrote it? Do you know? You have to know immediately. You have to know the answer to that. Yes, just like the playwright, just like the book. Who wrote it? Who wrote the book? Need to have that answer immediately. What's his first name? Name is Shakespeare. What's Shakespeare's first name? Because people will say, oh, Shakespeare. But wait a minute. What's Shakespeare's first name? See, that's also important because you look really, really silly if a classroom, thank you, Jennifer Lazo. Look at that. William Shakespeare. Okay, so William Shakespeare wrote the book. So now this gets even more crazy because now you got William Shakespeare who wrote A Midsummer Night's Dream, but the music is Felix Mendelssohn. Okay, this is confusing, right? I guess you know what you might need to do? You might need to go onto Google and check things out. Again, who didn't have Google available to him? Who didn't have the internet available to him? Where did I have to learn all that? I had to read it in books. I had to go old-fashioned encyclopedias and learn that stuff. I had to pull up a recording. That hair is bothering me. Okay. I had to pull up a recording, and I'll look at the liner notes of a CD. So if I can grab a CD over here. This particular CD is Percy Granger's music. So inside of the CD, you have liner notes. Okay. Here's what I did. I'd read all this, that, because inside those liner notes, it would tell me everything that I needed to know about the music on that CD. This is what I did, my friends. I have 8,000 CDs. I haven't done it for all of them. I'm going to be spending the rest of my life pulling out CDs, reading liner notes. This is how I gained all my knowledge. It wasn't from Google. It wasn't from the internet. So now this is where the tough love comes in. What's your excuse? What's your excuse for not knowing that Shakespeare wrote that? What's your excuse for not knowing that Mendelssohn was the composer? What's your excuse for a wedding march? Because that's what the part of A Midsummer Night's Dream, because here's the thing: that particular piece of music was written for the entire play. It was written for the whole entire play. But here's the thing: that's not the only piece of music. There's more to A Midsummer Night's Dream. You want to hear some great, great music? Listen to all of A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's incredible. Mendelssohn was such an underrated composer. Oh, the singing? Because you don't like opera? No singing in there. It's known as incidental music. What's incidental music? Think of an incident. An incident. Things that are happening on the stage. So what's happening is this music is being played in kind of the background while the play is taking place on the stage. There's no singing involved. It's just kind of the background music, or the music itself is the important music that's being played at that particular time. So now we relate this to a career in music and the arts. Do you see this one piece of music, how much I was able to ascertain from it? How much I was able to get out of this one piece of music? Here's one of the first problems you're going to have if you decide to pursue a career in music and the arts. Let's say, and I'm not going to get into teaching because I made a decision tonight, I'm not talking about music education. And for those of you in here who came in to tune in for that reason, still, you should stick around because I'm going to talk about music. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you don't know your stuff about music, and you don't know your stuff about dance, and you don't know your stuff about theater, and you don't know your stuff about art and the arts in general, don't go into it. Don't do it. There are enough hacks out there in the world. Now, type that word out. A lot of people will say, oh, a hack. You know, hacks are, quicker ways of doing things or easy way. No, when it comes to hack, when you call somebody a hack in the world of music, it means that they stink. This is someone who tries to act like they know their stuff and they don't know a thing, or they know very, very little, or they know a lot less than they claim that they do. And here's the cold, hard reality, and it makes me sick to my stomach. There are people out there who get jobs in these fields. They're taking the jobs that you want, and they're complete hacks. Perhaps because they interview better than you. Perhaps because they tell a load of baloney better than you do. Well, if you know your stuff, then you don't have to tell a load of baloney. There are so many music teachers out there who are bad music teachers. Really bad. There are so many musicians out there who are bad musicians. And here's what's even worse, my friends. There are schools out there, and I'm not talking about high schools. I'm talking about schools of higher learning, higher education. We can call them colleges, I guess, universities. And what they may have to do, thank you, Jennifer, really appreciate that a lot. What they have to do is, not all of them, there are plenty of outstanding colleges and universities out there who are truly accepting people because they're high quality at what they do, whatever the particular field is. But when it comes to something like music, when it comes to the arts, if a person is not good enough, or more importantly, they don't show potential, they shouldn't be accepted. Period. End of story. They should not be accepted. And I went to college with people who were accepted, and you could tell within the first few weeks of the semester, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Your heart isn't in this. You can't enter the field of music or the arts just because you love it. It's not enough. It's not enough. Everyone loves music. That's baloney. Everyone loves music. And I don't want to go so far. I know someone's going to say, oh, well, not everybody loves music. Yeah, I guess there are a few people out there that don't love it. But you know what I'm saying. Everybody likes some type of music out there. And most people love a certain type of music. That cannot be the reason why you go into the field. It's ridiculous. That's not good enough. All right. So why else are you going to go into it? You're going to go into it because you want to change someone's life, or you want to share your gift. And I saw those here, and that's fine. You absolutely can go into the field for that reason. But remember, here's the word, my friends, career. There's a very big difference between career and hobby. And if you're not putting your everything in there, it's a hobby. For Julio, the incredible bass player in my band, I mean, he's just that good. It's not a career for him. Could he probably pursue it as a career? Maybe. And I say maybe only because it's so difficult. It's so difficult to be able to make a career out of anything in music and the arts. Why am I going to sit here and lie to you? Why am I going to sit here and try to make everything all fluffy and warm and fuzzy? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you the truth. And if you are not doing everything that you need to do, it's a hobby in any form of life. So if you're going to be going all in with music and the arts, and you have Google at your disposal, you don't have an excuse. Because you know what? When you're on YouTube watching ridiculous videos, when you're on social media doing a bunch of silly things, when you're sitting there playing video games that are doing nothing but it's sending your mind into complete mush, there's someone else out there who knows everything that Mendelssohn wrote, who can at least spout off all of the titles of every single book that Shakespeare ever wrote, every single play that he ever wrote, and go one step further and be able to identify those plays and which ones have choreography, have dancing, and go one step further and say, who's the best actor or actress for Shakespeare? If you're an actor or an actress, you know the answer like that. There's no hesitation. And if there is a hesitation, you have work to do. Mendelssohn, are there perhaps works of art that were inspired by music that Mendelssohn wrote? Or Mozart? Or Beethoven? And I'm just talking classical composers here. I haven't even gotten into the other ones. What happens when we get into the Beatles? What happens when we get into Jimi Hendrix? I'm saying these names. Do you know who Jimi Hendrix is? I hope so. Do you know how long he lived? Do you know what instrument he played? Do you know what was unique about the way that he played his particular instrument? And for those of you who don't know Jimi Hendrix, I know I have some younger people here in the chat tonight. But those of you who don't know Jimi Hendrix might be the greatest guitar player of all time. What was different about him? Thank you, Miguel. And Miguel may or may not have known that. And you know what? I'm proud of you guys, by the way, because if you did Google it, good for you. And I mean that. I'm not being sarcastic. Good for you for saying, you know what? I'm going to show Rosenberg. I'm going to show him that I know. He was left-handed. All right. Give me a member of the Beatles who played. I'll even help you out with this one. Give me a member of the Beatles who played the bass. If you know who played the bass with the Beatles, then you know the answer to this. And played it left-handed. Left-handed bass player with the Beatles. Let's see if Lee Rod knows. What's that music from? I am singing the music from what game show on TV? Do you know what the game show is? Can you pick up your instrument and be able to play that on your instrument? Can you play the theme from Jeopardy? Did you know it was Jeopardy? Did you know that the bass player was Paul McCartney from the Beatles? Do you think that I learned that on Google, guys? No. When I was in school, I talked about this, I think it was last week. Last week, I lose track of the live episodes. When I was, no, it was last week because we did the 168 hours a week. There was no time wasted. I'll tell you this. If you are going to be going into a career in music or the arts, I strongly, strongly recommend that you do not commute if you can help it. That you are not going back and forth from home. I understand that some people can't avoid that. You might be in a financial situation where you can't avoid it. But there is a lot to be said for being on campus at the college full time. Because when I was in college, my everything was immersed in music. Everything. And I still came out of college knowing almost nothing about jazz, knowing almost nothing about rock and roll, knowing absolutely nothing about country music. And I certainly didn't know anything about hip hop or rap. And I had to learn those on my own. But you know what? I did develop the foundation, and I did understand what I had to do to learn about that music. I did understand that when I was going to become a teacher, and again, I'm not going to get into the teaching thing tonight. That'll be a separate episode. But as a teacher, I knew that I had to know those types of music. I couldn't just do the classical thing all the time. That wasn't going to work. I knew it right away from the very first year that I started. If I just did nothing but classical composers, everybody was going to be bored. And everybody who's in this chat tonight knows that if you've had me as a teacher, you know that I do not spend my entire time in class talking about classical stuff. As a matter of fact, I rarely do. And it's not that it's not important, but let me tell you something. If you're going to music, you need to know all of it. All of it. You need to understand why the Beatles' music is special. You need to understand why every single song is so different. You need to understand the harmonic progressions that are involved. You need to understand that the greatest influence for the Beatles was a composer who lived nearly 300 years, actually about 250 years before they put out their music, and that would be Johann Sebastian Bach. Yeah, the Beatles, they got some of those chord progressions directly from Bach. Bach, 1685 to 1750. When he died, so did the Baroque period. You're a musician, you have to know that. What do the kids call it in school? Facts. You've got to know your stuff. You have to know your stuff. And here's the other thing that's really, really unfortunate. It's not fair. There's no other way for me to put it than it's not fair. But it is what it is. We live in a society where if you are an expert in something, you should be able to answer questions immediately. Now, let's say you're an expert in a medical field, whatever it is. For instance, I just saw a foot doctor the other day. Okay, I have a fantastic podiatrist. Now, that's all he specializes in. That's his thing. So if a person asks that doctor who specializes in that particular thing a question about feet, he's going to be able to answer it instantly. Now, we may be able to answer some of those questions well. We may be able to do well on our own, but he's the master. and he specializes in that. Here's the thing, though. Hi, Ashley. Here's the thing is, even though he specializes in that, he may not specialize in other things. And you know, you're probably not going to be asking a foot doctor. You're probably not going to be asking things about your eyes. You're probably not going to be asking things about your nose. All right. Let's switch occupations for a minute. Let's go into construction. Now, construction gets a little more broad. Someone who's a construction worker. Actually, we'll talk about construction having to do with like homes. All right. So they may ask you questions about roofing. They may ask you questions about shingles. They may ask you questions about certain types of nails or screws to use, insulation with the house. Okay. That's what they specialize in. That's what they're experts in. They may ask, what's the best type of insulation? What brand would you recommend? Okay. Shingles, we're not talking about the disease. Shingles, we're talking about the things that we put on the outside of a house. Okay. If a person who's in construction doesn't know the answer right away, it's usually not the end of the world. They're probably not going to lose credibility. And here's the thing. With being a foot doctor, people kind of know stuff about feet. When it comes to construction, people have an idea about construction. Do you want the cold, hard reality about music and the arts? And I'm not saying this to be mean, but society as a whole knows nothing. As a whole. I'm not saying that people don't know anything. I'm not saying that people are not educated. But I'm saying that they'll see this picture and you ask people this picture and who is the person who created it and under what pretenses, what was the reason why they created it, all that type of stuff. And somebody may say Van Gogh, but then they can't even give me the first name. They can't say Vincent. And then they also will not know that Don McLean wrote a song called Vincent. And if you haven't listened to it, you need to. Because if you put the painting up on your screen, meaning on your computer screen, you put the painting up there, or you can watch my podcast episode, okay? And you have the painting there and you listen to the song Vincent, it's one of the most beautiful songs ever written. You couldn't possibly do a better job in terms of describing the artwork and describing the artist. Gorgeous song. Here's the problem. If you're going into music and the arts, you need to know that. Or, I'm sorry, you're expected to know that. So I'm hired as a musician. I'm hired as a music teacher. Let's start off with education first. I'm a music teacher. Do you know what people expect you to know as a music teacher? Everything. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I even had to, I don't know, I was kind of joking about it with students, but I wasn't completely joking about it. You know, I had students who said to me, they wanted me to play a rap song in class, and I was going to play the clean version of a rap song in class for them. And they said the name of the rapper. I had not a clue who this person was. I never heard. And they looked at me as if there was something wrong with me. Like, how could I not know? Well, jeez, how could anybody possibly know every single musician, every single song ever? And it's really unfair to musicians that we're expected to know everything. But here's the thing. If you're going into this field, you've got to work your face off to try to learn as much as humanly possible. I have CDs to my right. I'm just going to do this quickly. I'm just going to pull out CDs. I had no intention to do this. I'm just going to pull out CDs. And I'm telling you right now, even though these CDs are always to my right, I have about, well, I don't know, 200 CDs or so. I can tell you, I haven't touched, listened to these CDs in over 5 years. Haven't even really looked at them. They just happen to be here. because I have so many others that are downstairs. Plus, a lot of my music I do streams. I do listen to a lot of it on YouTube and Spotify now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to randomly pick out 5 CDs right now, and without anything at all, I'm not even going to go into details. I'm going to see. I'm just going to show you my knowledge, and I'm not doing it to show off. I'm not doing it to show off. That's not the purpose here. I don't want your compliments. I don't. Because here's the thing. If you're truly a musician, if you're truly an artist, you should be able to do this. And if you can't, just my personal belief, you shouldn't go into the field. You shouldn't go into the field. All right, here we go. Let me just pull 5 of them out, just randomly here. Okay, so I've got 5 different CDs here. Okay, I'm going to show you the names of the CDs. Oh, Miguel, you're going to like this. This is cool. I didn't even mean to. I didn't know I was even pulling out here. All right, so the first one is someone named Arturo Sandoval. I've actually talked to Miguel about Arturo Sandoval before. The next one is Handel or Handel. It's not Handel, by the way. It's Handel. Handel Arias by Bryn Terfel. The next one is Songs of Mozart, Julian Baird. The next one is Der Hirt auf dem Felsen. And then the last one is, oh, wow, this is going to come in really handy for me. I didn't even realize I even had this CD. Wow, I'm going to need to listen to this, actually, ironically enough, this weekend for a graduate assignment I have. This one is called A Tribute to Miles. Now, I'm going to do this really quick, okay? Let's go back to the first one. Okay, so I'm looking at this particular one, and I'm kind of looking at it backwards as you're looking at it. And I apologize for the glare and all that other stuff. The first you can see, obviously, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my friends out there, I am looking at Spanish, right? I see Luna, so this has to be some Spanish. If anybody can help me out, by the way, with what this says in Spanish in any way, especially that first one, that would be really, really awesome. Again, I apologize for the glare. But here's what I know. Arturo Sandoval, outstanding trumpet player, versatile. He's a crossover artist, which means that he is equally at home playing jazz and classical. He can do both. There are very few people who can do both great justice, like Sandoval. He is a monster player. What does that mean? He can really play. He's not a piano player. Oh, that's right. I apologize. No, he can play the piano. I take that back. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you. Thank you. I'm thinking trumpet. But no, he does play piano as well. But Sandoval, very, very special. All right. Let's take a look at the second one. Okay. Handel Arias. Now, this one happens to be right up my alley. This particular one is, well, let's put the person back up here. Whoops. There it goes. So, first of all, you have to know what Handel is. Handel would be George Frederick Handel, lived from 1685 to 1759. He was born 1 month apart from Johann Sebastian Bach, which is crazy. And I think they were like less than 100 miles from each other that they were born apart. You know, have I done my work? Do I get an A? Handel Arias, Bryn Terfel. Who's Bryn Terfel? Bryn Terfel, one of the greatest singers ever. One of the greatest singers on the planet. Yeah, he sings opera, and he's darn good. And I don't know how you feel about things. I don't make comments about people's looks, but, you know, pretty good-looking dude there. Okay? Bryn Terfel, if I listen to this, I'm going to be very, very happy with what I'm hearing because Bryn Terfel can really bring it. He's got a sensational voice. And when he does come to this particular area, the concert is sold out immediately. and some of you have probably never even heard of him before. All right, let's go to Julianne Baird. Now, I don't know what Julianne Baird is doing these days. I can tell you that I've seen her live. She's outstanding. And Julianne Baird is a wonderful soprano. She happens to be singing Mozart in this case, but it's important because they say songs of Mozart. So this leads me to believe that these were songs written by him, not arias from operas. Very, very big difference. See, this is where people make mistakes. See, if you're a musician, you have to be careful with using the word song. And I even make the mistake myself. I'm aware that I'm making a mistake and I really shouldn't do it. But here's the thing. No, she's not an actress. I mean, she's an actress in terms of acting in operas, but no, she's not an actress though. But when you say song, a song is a musical composition with words. And that's it. So the first piece, the piece that I played at the beginning, that's not a song. It's what we just call a piece of music. Okay, it's just a piece of music. There's no words in there. Okay, no words whatsoever. Now, songs of Mozart, this means that this is not coming from different types of operas. These are different types of songs. Do you have any idea how many music teachers out there? Do you know how many musicians that call themselves musicians do not know that? They see songs of Mozart and they don't understand that on the back here, I am going to see a whole list, and I'm looking at these, and they're too small for me to show you. All these songs are in German, and they're not from operas. They're just not. They just happen to be songs as standalone pieces that Mozart wrote. There's so many people who don't know that, and you know what? I don't want those people teaching my kids if I had kids. I just don't. Because you should know the difference between a song and an aria. The fourth one, der Hirt auf dem Felsen. That's in German. Okay, what do you need to know right away on this cover? You need to know who are these three people and what are they doing? Okay, so what instrument do we have here? You got to be able to identify the instrument. I hope everybody here can identify that instrument. Do you have any idea how many people in America cannot identify what that instrument is? They have not a clue. Okay, what the black instrument is? Not a flute. Okay, thank you. All right. Happens to be the instrument that Watermelon Duck plays. Okay. Now, the dude that's in the middle here, what's he doing? What's his job? It's not just gawking and loving the woman that's in the picture. That's not what she's doing. Squidward, yes. You know what? Whatever it takes. Squidward, if you have to use your SpongeBob knowledge for that, that's fine. All right, so the guy in the middle is playing piano. Okay, what's the woman doing? No, he's not. She's not checking out the guys, and she's not checking out this guy over here in this dapper yellow sweater that he's wearing, or sweater vest that he has on. What do you think she does? Okay, so he's a clarinet player. He is piano. What's she doing? Obviously, she does something on the recording or she wouldn't be there. She's listening and admiring. No, she's singing. Okay, she's a singer. So this particular one here, and it's great because looks like these three people are all German. Okay, and it says sopran, so not soprano, sopran, clarinet with a K, and then clavier, and clavier is German for piano. Okay, so that's what I know right off the bat. This music, more than likely, most of this album, and it happens to be Schubert. Who's Schubert? Okay, that's not Sherbert. We're not talking about ice cream here. Schubert lived from 1797 to 1828. 31 years of age when he died. He was only 31. Guess who wrote the most songs? That's right, we're back to songs again. Most songs of all time. That would be Franz Schubert. The dude died when he was 31 years old. He wrote more songs than anyone. He wrote, I think it's like what, 8 times more songs than the Beatles? Because I think the Beatles wrote like 100, 150 songs. So Schubert wrote like 800 songs. He only lived to be 31. Hello? You think he was busy? You know what else Schubert was? A ladies' man. Loved the ladies. Loved ladies. What did Schubert die of? Syphilis. How do you get syphilis? If you know, then you can probably put 2 and 2 together and figure out what his life was like. I think that he was happy guy. All right, so now we get to the next one. Tribute to Miles. Who's Herbie Hancock? Who's Wayne Shorter? Who's Ron Carter? You got to know who these people are. Now, it's ironic because right now I am taking a class at the graduate level, and I just wrote this past week an essay, a huge essay on Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter. I just wrote an essay. And then a few weeks before that, I happened to write one on Ron Carter. Ironically enough, before that time, I knew what instruments they played, but I didn't really know much about them. And I'm ashamed to say that. 46 years old and didn't know all the stuff that these jazz legends. Yeah, this is jazz here. Who's Miles? Who's Miles? Miles Davis, the great trumpet player. Herbie Hancock, piano. Wayne Shorter, saxophone. Ron Carter, bass. Let's see, we got Wallace Roney here. And I'm ashamed to say, I don't know who that is, but I know by process of elimination that Wallace has to be the piano player. He has to be. Because I know that Tony Williams is a drummer. Okay? So by process of elimination, I'm able to figure out what his role is. Why is this a tribute to Miles? The drummer is Tony Williams. So why is this a tribute to Miles? I'm looking on the back. A celebration of the life and the music of Miles Davis. So they're probably taking classic tunes. His first one, So What? So What is from what? It's from one of the greatest albums that Miles ever released. So you have to know this stuff. And I take that back. I sincerely apologize. Obviously, I'm tired, I think is probably the best way to put it. That's the excuse I'll give. How could Wallace possibly, and you should have corrected me on this. You're not going to have 2 piano players in a quintet. Never going to happen. Herbie Hancock is piano. I actually start off by saying it's piano. Wallace is playing trumpet on this recording. So I take that back. And again, ashamed. I'm completely, totally, and utterly embarrassed that I didn't know the answer to that. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, that's okay. You know what? To me, it's not okay. It's not okay that I didn't know that answer, and that's going to bother me. It's going to continue to bother me. Because you know what? When you're passionate about music and you're passionate about the arts, these types of things need to bother you. So when you're going to prepare, this is where your preparation is, my friends. I've just given you the education right here. Now you got to go do it. And if you don't know the answers, then you need to ask for help immediately. And you can't wait, because every day, hour, minute, second that you're doing something else, there's someone else out there that wants, not someone, many people out there that want to do what you want to do. And when that audition comes along to sing for something, to play for something, to submit some type of artwork, to audition for something, there's probably a good chance somebody else is going to be more prepared than you. Now, you have 2 ways you can go about doing this. You can say, you know what, this isn't for me. Or, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work hard. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to give every single thing that I have to this particular passion that I have. In this particular case, music and the arts. So if you are going to be an actress, and I've said this to people that come to me, I want to be an actress. Well, you should be able to off the top of your head, you should be able to rattle off actors' names. And again, and I'm sorry to be so tough with you about this, but you don't have an excuse. You have no excuse. You go on to Google, 50 greatest actresses ever, 10 greatest actresses ever, and you read about it and you learn. And you can go onto YouTube, you can watch Gone with the Wind. And you can watch Citizen Kane. And if you don't even know what those movies are, that's a big problem. They're two of the greatest movies ever. And if you're going to be an actor and actress, you have to know that. And if you don't know the lines, you should at the very least know who wrote it, who the director was, how long it was it in black and white, was it in color, what year did it come out, all of that stuff. The great actors and actresses who are making a living know the information. They know the answers to this. Don't kid yourself in saying, no, they don't. Yes, they do. They do know the answers. That's the reason why they have those jobs. That's the reason why someone like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, he started his career in the WWE with wrestling. You know what? That he kind of used that in a lot of ways as his next thing to become one of the greatest actors in the world. That dude is raking in so much money right now. He's making just tens of millions of dollars. The Rock wakes up like 4 o'clock every single morning, guys. Did you know that? You know what his routine is? You can go onto YouTube. You can check it out. I didn't have that luxury when I grew up. And I know this stuff. And how do I know more now? Because I do go onto YouTube. This is what I do. I study all the time. I'm professionally developing, whatever that's supposed to mean. Always. And like I said, that trumpet player, the second this episode ends, this is how I am. I am going to be researching that trumpet player immediately because that is bothering me so much that I feel like a complete fool in the middle of my own podcast that I didn't know that that was a trumpet player. And I'm a trumpet player myself. It's unacceptable to me. It bothers me. And no, it's not good enough that I got an 80 on the test. Is it okay for you guys? Are you okay with the 80 on the test? Knowing who Hancock, Shorter, Carter, and Matthews are, you're okay with that 80? You're okay with the 80 in the class, right? You're all right with that? The people that had the 80s in life, they don't get anywhere. They don't. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. But when you make that mistake, though, you have to own it and you have to do everything you can to ensure that that type of thing doesn't happen again. The world is loaded with lazy people because we have so many things at our fingertips right now. You have so much information available to you, and a lot of you are not using it. You're just not using it. So my hope is that when you get off this podcast, that you're not going to just close the window and just go onto social media right away. And you're not going to do something that's just silly, for lack of a word. I'm not saying to not have fun, but my goodness, if you want something badly enough, you have to put in the work. And I promise you, it will pay off in the end. It will pay off. I promise you, every single time. But if you're not willing to put in the work, what's the point? What's the point? The one thing I say to my students, and I have students, a lot of students that I mentor, and I'm tough on them. And I'm not mean, but I have very, very high expectations for the people that I mentor. And there are some people that I recently took on as students, and they know I have rules. I have things in place. I have tasks. And you know what? If you don't want to do the tasks, that's okay with me. You don't have to do the tasks. You don't have to put in the work, but you know what I don't have to do? I don't have to give you my time, because I'm going to give it to the person who is investing, who is working hard. My goal in life as an educator, I'm going to be an educator for the rest of my life. I want you to be better than me. I want you to excel in your field. I believe in you. I know that you can do it. I know that you have greatness in you. And I'm going to do everything I can to motivate you. I'm going to do everything I can, and it might have to be compassionate at times, and it may have to be tough love at times. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to give myself to you. I'm going to give every resource, everything that I have in this brain that I've acquired via pre-internet and, I guess, during internet. But the laziness in the world, wow. You know, I look over in this chat. You know what I love about this chat? Every single person who's in this chat, I can say with 100% conviction, absolutely cares, is absolutely passionate. They get it. They get it. And in some cases, it may have taken me to give them a little bit of a kick in the rear. And it may have been me who may have inspired them, or another teacher perhaps. And in some cases, we have some teachers over here. You're here tonight because you wanted to get better. And I'm not the be-all, end-all. Because I can tell you, the second that this podcast ends tonight, I go right back to learning. Do I have the times where my brain goes to mush? Absolutely. Do I have the times where I do silly things? Absolutely. Here's the problem, and I'm calling you out right now. You are doing those silly things too much. And the person you're hurting, you're not hurting other people, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. When a person comes up to me and says that they want to pursue a career in music and they want to pursue a career in the arts, here's a bit of advice that I give to them right away. What are you going to bring to the table to make yourself stand out and be different than everyone else? Because you must. You absolutely must be different than everyone else out there. What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the party? And what that means is, for those of you who are not understanding what I'm saying, when I'm saying that, it means, what do you know? What are you going to say where the person's going to go, whoa, that person, they know their stuff. They know their stuff. And I can say with absolute confidence, there are people in this chat over here who do know their stuff. And then there's some other people here who are trying to get better, and they're making every single type of effort. But guys, I had a student once that wanted to be, this student was one of the greatest clarinet players I've ever heard in my life. And when she was in high school, she auditioned for the most demanding honor groups in the state of New Jersey and destroyed the competition, crushed the competition. You get the scores, she'd be number one, and number two was like really far away with the score. Here was the problem. She was a major introvert. She did not express her feelings well. She didn't speak well. And what I mean by that is, by the way, brilliant. IQ, almost genius IQ, but she had a really, really hard time articulating her thoughts. And I remember saying to her, if you're going to do this for a living, you've got to figure out how it's going to be a career and not a hobby. It can't be a hobby. A hobby is identified as something that you absolutely love to do, but you're not making money doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. There are so many people who have hobbies out there, but it's not a career if you're pulling in $1,000 a year. That's not a career. And I am not going to be okay with someone who decides they're going to go into music or go into the arts, and they go to college for 4 years, 5 years, or whatever, and they spend their money or their parents' money or whoever's money, or they're taking out loans, and they and this happens, unfortunately, they get suckered in to believing that they're better than they really are. And then they're saddled with 30, 40, 50, $60,000 in debt. And then they go out and they find out in the real world that there are not that many jobs in their profession. And the ones that are out there are extremely hard to get. Why? Because there are other people out there that are as good as they are. And what do they wind up having to do? They wind up having to take jobs that they don't like. And they wind up being part of the 87%. Yes, 87%. That's the number of people in the world who are unhappy with their jobs. 87%. And as Dan Pena famously says, the other 13%, they're probably just lying. Do you want that? Now, I can tell you, I'm living proof that you can do this. I can tell you, and I'm not saying this to be arrogant at all, but I have mentored enough people where I can steer you in the right direction in terms of music and the arts as to everything that you have to do. But you got to work really hard, guys. You've got to work so hard. And you have to know that you possess something. You possess some type of quality in you that no one else has. What are you going to bring to the table? And one more thing. The people who get it are humble. They don't brag. I sincerely hope me taking out the CDs tonight was not perceived by anybody as me bragging and showing you my knowledge. That wasn't the point. The point was to show you that I do know the stuff because I've worked my tail off. It was not about bragging at all. When you're really great at what you do, the great ones, they're modest. They don't brag. My very first job that I ever got after college, where I did teaching, I worked with another music teacher. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I'll never forget this. And I said hello, I introduced myself. I didn't know anything about the person at all. And we were talking about our strengths and weaknesses in music and such, because I was going to be working with some kids with instrumental music, and this person worked with students with vocal music, chorus. And I remember talking to her, and she asked me, she said, do you play other instruments besides the brass instruments? I said, yes. She says, what's your piano like? I said, my piano skills are really lousy, actually. They're not good. I don't lie about that. I'm not a great piano player because I'm sorry, but nobody can be great at every single instrument. You can't be great at everything in music. It's impossible. And I just happen to not be great in music. I'm not great in music. I'm not great when it comes to the piano. And I'll never forget what she said to me next. She looked at me, and you know what she said? She said, well, I do want you to know I'm an expert in Chopin. It's a classical composer. known like 99% of his music. Piano. You type in Chopin, piano, perfect music to go to sleep. Gorgeous, gorgeous music. She said, I'm an expert in Chopin. And there was only one word that went through my mind immediately. Hack. I said to myself, huh, this person, and my goodness, I mean, the first time I heard her play the piano, atrocious, disgusting. I mean, I'd heard students at my college who were freshmen who played circles around this woman, circles around her, and they were completely inexperienced. And she called herself an expert in Chopin. So how did that happen? Well, it means that either someone lied to her or she lied to herself. She also doesn't know anything about being modest. Zero. You'd never say such a thing. I would never, ever say that I'm an expert in anything having to do with music. I'll say I'm pretty good at it. I'll say I'd like to think I'm a pretty good teacher. I'll never, ever tell you that I'm an expert. Somebody else wants to say that about me? Great. I'll never say it about myself. I will say that I'm a lifelong learner. I'm an expert learner. I can say that. But my hope tonight is that, and I don't even think I was that tough. There was a part of me that was going to be tougher tonight, but I really hope that you were taking in these words and understanding the way that I look at it when it comes to music and the arts is I'm so sick of people entering this field who are hacks. People who don't put in the time, people who don't put in the energy. And I really can't stand, and all musicians are like this. And the ones that don't say it, I mean, some people will say, well, good for them, I guess. But it's very, very aggravating to the people who are really, really great musicians when someone who you know is not really that great all of a sudden gets that one big song and they make millions off of it. And it does happen. But you know, at the same time, to their credit, they were in the right place, the right time, knowing the right people, the right song, and they probably sold themselves in the right way. And in that way, I give them a lot of credit. Aggravating. But you know what, though? They did what I told that clarinet student to do. You have to figure out how you're going to be different. You have to stick out. To my trumpet student right now who's pursuing a master's degree up at New England Conservatory, one of the greatest schools in the country, my greatest trumpet student of all time, hands down. 6 solid years of really, really tough love. Of you need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to do all of these different things. And he did all of them. And the first thing that I told him when he told me he wanted to pursue a career in music, and he told me when he was 14 years old, freshman in high school, I looked at him and I said, you know, it's the first thing you got to do? Network. You need to get to know everyone. You need to get to know as many people as humanly possible, because somewhere down the road, you're going to run into one of these people and make a good impression and be personable, and because you want them to hire you. Why do you want them to hire you? Because you want to get paid. Because do you want a career where you're getting paid for what you do and your expertise, or do you want a hobby where you might be getting paid, but not enough to be paying the bills, and then having to get that job where you're completely unhappy? Your preparation for music and the arts, if you expected to tune in tonight, where I was going to sit here and tell you that you need to know music theory and you need to know analysis of music, music history, and you need to know ear training. And I'm sorry. What am I going to say to you? Shame on you, for not doing the research yourself. It's at your fingertips. You could have gone to any college anywhere, gone to their website, pulled up their course of study, and they will sit there and go through every single semester, every single class. And if you don't know what that class is, that's what Google's for. Back in the dinosaur ages, I had to ask someone, and I did. Harmonic foundations. What the heck is that? It was music theory. I didn't know. I had to ask someone. Now, type in harmonic foundations. It's going to come up, music theory. You don't have any excuses. And if you don't know, ask someone who does. All right. I hope you got something out of tonight. I hope it was an eye-opener for you. I think that there are lots of things that I touched upon tonight that are not just going to apply to music and the arts. I think they're going to apply to life. And I really, really hope that it's going to be able to help you. Michelle, you have my promise that within the next month, I will absolutely do a live episode on preparing for a career in education, because boy, is that going to be an eye-opener. A big time eye-opener. Yes, I would be thrilled to do one. You ask for it, and it's not off topic at all. It's definitely on topic, because I did make a promise tonight that I wasn't going to be getting into the education thing. But if you want to become a teacher, I'm going to give you the most important information you need to know in that separate episode. Ileanis, go for it. Would love to hear what is that you need to share. Esther, you asked a question, why do producers allow them? Why do producers allow them? Well, I don't know if it's why do producers allow. I think that it's not so much that they allow them, it's that they see one thing. I'll stop right there. That's what they see. Whoops. Okay. Oh, it didn't accept one of them. Okay, I tried to put a bunch of dollar signs. I'll put $1 sign. Let me see what happens when I put 3. Oh, wow. I'm getting some type of strange error. Money. That's what it comes down to, guys. I hate to say it. They say, everybody says, oh, the world is prejudiced. Yeah, we have a problem with race in the world. We do have a problem with prejudice. You know what people are not prejudiced against? One color, green. People are not prejudiced when people are going to make other people money. So the cold hard reality is that if you're going to get into this type of career, not hobby, if you're going to get into this type of career, then you need to make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can. So then ultimately you can make some money, some pesos, some shillings. Okay. Ileanis, I always wanted to become a teacher for kids with disabilities. I think that's outstanding. I can touch upon that. I will make sure that when I talk about the education episode, I will tell you that one of the things about education, I'll just give you a little inside information here in terms of the teacher for kids with disabilities and kids with special needs and kids in special education and all of that. I will tell you that I've done extremely well at job interviews regarding that topic, and I have no certification when it comes to special education. But I do know this. I know that when an administrator is interviewing me or someone's on the other side and you touch upon kids with special needs and you have ideas and you've done your research for things that you know work, and more importantly, that you're passionate about wanting to be able to help them, it's a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. Because I'm not going to get, I just don't have the kind of time. It would take forever for me to explain. But I can tell you that the whole world of education, there was a massive shift that happened uh, quite a few years back, where they did a lot more what they call mainstreaming. And when I was in school, the kids that were special ed were called not very nice names, and they didn't eat. They were like in a separate room. And I know some of you are going to say, "Oh, that's not right," and everything like that. But the way that the educational system is now, and it's not a bad thing at all. I think it's a great thing actually. But students are mainstreamed into the classrooms now. So even though you may not have certification as a special education instructor, you need to know. You have to be able to how to differentiate. You have to know what all that stuff is. So yeah, we can certainly tackle those topics, and I can talk about this stuff, as you can see, for hours. I'm really, really passionate about it, and I've done my research. I've done my stuff. As you know, hands free. Okay, I'm not. I think you can probably tell with the way I'm delivering it. I'm not. I'm not sitting here. And if I was Googling, you probably would be able to hear the clicking of the keys. All right, let me check the chat really quickly before we give away the Amazon gift card tonight. Wrap up this episode. This has been awesome. Let's see. So we've got a few different things here. I'm actually happy to see someone is interested in teaching just like me, and I've actually been called weird from it. Good. Let them call you weird. You know what you can do later on, Michelle? You can laugh at them when you actually have the job, and you're happy doing what you're doing, and they laughed at you, and the person that laughed at you, and I'm not trying to wish bad things on them, but when they're unhappy in their job, even a job that might even be paying them well, and you're at a job where you're not being paid as well, but you're really, really happy, then you can be the one that can laugh later on. But teaching, I will tell you, is not for the faint of heart. You got to be tough as a teacher. You got to be able to be very, very tough. As soon as I was playing teacher, I knew I wanted to become one. Yep. Okay. So this is great stuff. Yeah, watermelon duck, absolutely. The R word, not a nice word that people have used, and that's the word that was used a lot when I was in school, unfortunately, and it just is what it is. So this has been amazing. You guys are so awesome. I am so elated that this particular group of people came to the chat tonight. I cannot put into words how much it means. And I know there were a lot of other people who stopped by tonight, and I know some people don't feel comfortable chatting, and I appreciate you being there, but you're the ones that make this happen every single episode, and for that I'm so grateful. Please make sure you check that you have already gone to episode 286 to find out that information about winning the Amazon Walmart gift cards. Check out episode 288 that was released tonight. Has to do with, again, feeling pretty good. Has to do with a poem about pretty good and why you should not ever say pretty good when somebody asks you how you are. That's what that is. So Amazon gift card time. Here we go. Ooh, right here. All right, so I got to do my random generator. As you can see, Alice was not able to make it tonight. I did get a message from her, unfortunately, an emergency, so I kind of had to fly solo tonight. But you know what? We were able to get it done. We always get it done. That's what, man, it's the whole podcast. Remember, next week, we are not, oh, you guys are so great. Oh, I love you. You're so amazing. How do you do that? Drum roll's already going. Remember, next week, we are not live on Thursday next week. We're going to be live on Friday. Okay, so next week, we're going to be live on Friday, June 28th, 2019, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, not Thursday. Okay, so not Thursday. Okay, so next week we're going to be live Friday, June 28th, 2019, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. For my friends out there who are going to be graduating, having promotion ceremonies, things of that nature next Thursday, congratulations to all of you in advance. I'm so happy for you. Just absolutely elated. Watermelon duck, that's what I'm talking about. That's the type of brilliance that I absolutely love. 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You rock. That's incredible. And watermelon duck, I have to just jump on that for a second, because there's going to be somebody late who's going to be watching this episode later on who is actually out on the Pacific Coast, a faithful person who comes to the chat. She is really going to appreciate the 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is the reason why she was not able to make it tonight, because she had a conflict. So that's great. Okay. All right. So let's get some drum rolls going, please. Get those drum rolls going. Okay. So we have to do our random generator here. Take all these names, throw them into my own little hat. All right. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Mix them all up. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens here. All right. And here we go. The Amazon gift card tonight will go to someone who I already owe a gift card to. Watermelon Duck. Congratulations, Watermelon Duck. We weren't able to connect to give you the other gift card, but Watermelon Duck, when I see you, you're going to be getting now 2 gift cards. You're going to be getting a gift card, the one I believe that was the Panera gift card, but you're also going to now be getting an Amazon gift card. So congratulations to Watermelon Duck. You guys are all so amazing. What a great episode. Remember, next week, we're going to be at the Spanish restaurant. I'm going to be announcing the winners. Please make sure that you like this episode. Make sure you leave the comments as soon as I end the stream. Make sure to take care of that. Go to all the other videos. Leave lots of comments. We want to get the subscribers going. Remember, the quest is to get to 1,000 subscribers. As I've said before, when we get to 1,000 subscribers, I am able to do so many things. And I got to tell you, I'm planning on doing a little bit of a cross-country trip, and I'm going to tell you right now, at least one of those episodes is going to be somewhere that's going to be nowhere near New Jersey. It'll be sometime in August. We're going to be somewhere that's going to be way out of New Jersey. I don't know where yet. I got to still work on that. But I want to do at least 1 or 2 potential episodes out of the state, where and it will be even better if I'm able to do it from my phone. And I can't do any mobile live streaming until I hit 1,000 subscribers. That's actually one of their requirements, and that's fair. So we've got to get there. So make it happen. You guys are all so incredible. Thank you so much. Cannot do it without you. And really, really look forward to all of you joining me next week for episode 291 on Friday night at the Spanish restaurant. I'll let you know in advance. Hopefully you'll be able to join me there, because I'm not going to be able to eat all the food myself. You are the best. Peace.